Yes.
But it really has been.
Okay, I'd like to call to order our special city council meeting workshop of April 5th. Second item on the agenda is discussion, possible action on, inclusive of, but not limited to, ordinance number 3154 related to building codes, fats, oils, and grease interceptors.
Fog.
Dan.
Yes.
Wow.
Yes, it's everybody's favorite subject, grease interceptors. I'm going to start out just by introducing basically what we have in our codes in that, but then Tenny's going to go over some of the issues that have come up in that, and then kind of at the end, kind of give you guys the game plan that we're looking at, if you want to say implementing to try to, if you want to say catch up for kind of lost time. But our, okay, they told me it was that way.
Come on, Dan.
I know.
You doing the lights too?
Yeah, that's it. That's why.
That's the light, that's the light switch, Dan.
That's why it's not working. It's a light switch.
It worked a minute ago.
It's Justin to the rest.
Somebody's garage door just opened.
That's exactly 3 or 4 of them, by how many times I pressed it. I don't know why it wasn't. Oh, there it goes.
There we
Yeah,
go.
you were-
There we go.
Okay, it works now. Thank you, Justin. Within our municipal code, chapter 18, there's a couple sections. One is chapter 18, which is public utilities, but article 2 is sanitary sewer systems. Within that, section 26 is our grease, oil, and sand interceptors. That was adopted in March of 2005. It's broken down into 2 categories, cooking establishments and non-cooking establishments. And again, just to kind of go over, the grease interceptor is what you put in your system so you don't have fats, oils, greases, or any of those type of things that are flushed down into our sanitary sewer system that cause 2 problems. One, they start to clog up your actual lines, but then there's also the end, which is the processing and having to process that. So most cities have adopted these codes to catch it, literally, and then it's the responsibility of business owners to maintain that, to have it cleaned out on periodic times, depending on the need. Unfortunately, when this was adopted, there seems to be some, if you want to say lost time. I won't go into the old blame game or we didn't do this, that, or whatever. But we're at a point where we need to make sure that these are getting installed, not only in new construction, which isn't so much of an issue, but existing businesses in town that are required to have these. And again, Tenny will go over a lot of the issues that we're having to deal with that are being caused by this. When it was adopted, there was really no grandfathering. There was a year specifically stated in the ordinance that said you had up to 1 year to come into compliance. So there was some grace period, but again, that was in 2005 and now we're in 2022. Another part is Article 6, which is public sewers.
So the grace period's over?
Yes, yes, by a couple months. The other part where, again, on new construction, and this is more just so everybody understands and knows, not so much to go back, but also then in August of that year, backwater valves were also required to be installed, which as far as I know, probably from about that time frame have been done. In that, and it's the same thing, it's pretty much in the name. The reason it's installed is to prevent a back wash or anything to back up into the lines of a business, a house, or that. So it literally has a valve in there that closes, so whether it's sewer or water, yeah, backflow preventer type of thing in that. And as far as I know, that's probably been pretty consistent from the onset of this ordinance. It's just been the grease interceptor part. So with that, Tenny will come in here and talk to you about the distribution system and that. And just so you know, the reason we're tag teaming this is the enforcement end of it and making sure that it's going to get done, as well as on plans, is my department, the planning building side. The inspections and some of the more technical stuff is on Tenny's side. So like everything we do, it's going to be a team effort, and we're going to work together and again try to get to a point where things are being taken care of in the city. So with that, I'll leave it to Tenny.
Yeah, fall down.
Okay, so quickly try to run through a lot of the effects that's on our distribution system. We've got roughly as well, about 86.5 miles of sewer line. There's 1,393 different manholes throughout our distribution system. I've provided a layout of one of our pages, which is what I based several different scenarios on that we're faced with throughout different times. I did include a photo of an existing manhole showing that all the white that you see in that photo there is grease. You can see in the troughs how it builds up on the sides of the actual flow and starts to restrict that flow down and cause problems. This here is a preventive maintenance schedule that our staff performs weekly as staffing, when we have staffing level to perform this. All of these numbers here on the sewer line numbers is various lines throughout our system. Every manhole in our system has a number associated with it. It provides the different areas of treatment that we provide when the crews go out, whether we put copper sulfate in there for root control, the amount, degreaser for, of course, grease problems, the gallons that we use, if we jet the line, how many feet we use, the initial of the person that performs that, and the date it was done. All of the yellow that's highlighted on this form is grease-prone areas. Roughly about, you could say 50% of our preventive maintenance schedule is grease-prone problem areas. To break down several different scenarios, for an example, cost that is put on the city, I took one area, line 5L-055A-53, consists of, scenario one consists of 3 manholes in roughly two block area. The tasks that's performed in scenario one is just a simple, crews would run out, they jet the line, preventive maintenance, and add degreaser. That's not having any blockage or anything like that. We're just simply going out and performing preventive maintenance on a weekly basis. The cost associated with that is a total of $597.44. Roughly about 500 gallons of water is used with that performance. Scenario 2A, it's the same line, three manholes, 2 blocks. We use roughly 800 gallons of water, a total of $949.76. Now, this is whenever we go out, we perform the same procedure, except we run into a blockage. So we have to spend more time sitting there until we are able to get that blockage released. And then you go to 2B, same line, same amount of manholes, same blocks. You would add this to scenario 2A, increasing that $90.30, bringing it roughly to just under $1,000, or just over $1,000. That includes going back out then, a second crew, and cameraing that exact line to try to determine what that blockage was. DEQ ask us to do that.
Is that an additional cost?
That is an additional cost, yes. That $90.30, that's to run out and jet or camera that line after we've had the blockage, to try to determine what that blockage was, to see if it was offset joints, roots, whatever it could be. And then you go to a scenario 3A, it's the same line, except it then it expands a little bit. We've got 17 manholes, turns into a 10 block area. We're looking at using 4,500 gallons of water, a total cost of $2,027.68. And what the scenario is for this is we'd go out, we would jet the line, you've got a positive blockage, you release the blockage, it travels downstream, resulting into additional blockages within that 17 block area before we finally get through the whole process. Then you'll go to include, you just add A, B, C, and D together here on these costs, and we'll end up with a total of about $4,000 at the end that's associated with this. But 3B, what we do in the same line, same manholes, same blocks, if that blockage resulted into an overflow, meaning we wasn't able to get it unstopped, it overflowed out of the manhole, then crews are out there having to clean up the area, clean up all the raw sewage, bleach the area down. A lot more manpower is included into that.
Can this stuff back into somebody's house too if they don't have a backup valve on it?
It's possible, yes, if there's no backup valve, depending on the elevations and how much sewage, how far it gets backed up
Okay.
prior to us getting it unstopped. That's very possible, yes.
Okay.
So as we keep going, you jump down to scenario 3. We would add again $180.60. That's crews going back out trying to camera various areas to try to determine what the blockage was from. You brought your total up to $3,297, and then of course add scenario D, same line, adding $768.15 to that, and that's if we were not able to release the blockage and we ended up having to set up a bypass, meaning pumping from one manhole to another to prevent an overflow. Closing roads, setting up pumps, manning them all night. About every 3 hours, we'd have to go out and fill our pumps with fuel. And that just kind of runs you through several different scenarios. Those numbers can fluctuate on any different manhole or sewer lines that we want to talk about because of your flow rates and just different things that play in factor. Some
This
key
isn't all just about grease though, right?
Yes, yeah, this is all related to the highlighted
Okay.
lines that were on the preventive maintenance list. All those scenarios was one of those highlighted areas.
Just one of those.
Just
highlights.
one of the
yeah.
highlighted areas, yes. And this is performed on a weekly basis. Some key points to think about here. Every time we go out and we run a sewer, our crews are using roughly 2,500 to 3,000 PSI water pressure off of our truck. If this is performed weekly, which it most of the time is,
This is figured in.
the lines, it increases the risk of damage due to, the aging of our current system, clay tile lines, it's already maybe cracks, various things like that. And every week you're running 2,500 to 3,000 PSI of water up these lines. Over time, you start seeing, pieces of the clay tile falling in, the effects that we run into through that. None of the scenarios that we just went over is overtime cost. It is not uncommon for our crews to be called out in the middle of the night, and it's all overtime, which drives those numbers up. All the scenarios could fluctuate, as I said, to some degree due to the nature of the area, your flow, the distances from manhole to manhole, etc. Another good key point is wintertime is always the worst time for grease. It's cold out. When you grease it, it sets up faster. Crews are limited on the amount of degreaser that we're able to treat these lines with due to the degreaser that we use and even our wastewater treatment plant uses to some sense works against us once it reaches our wastewater treatment plant. One portion of our wastewater treatment plant process is we use live bugs to break down that sewage. the degreaser that we use in the distribution system reaches the wastewater plant, and if the amounts are high, it will kill those bugs. So we have to be real careful on how much chemical we do use to treat the grease. Lots of times, due to personnel shortages, all the scenarios require pulling personnel from multiple departments to assist, and every time we have to do that, we're taken away from other departments' regular daily activities. So that kind of goes over all of the distribution system as far as our lines go. All of our lines then reach a point to get into our lift stations to pump sewage from one point to another, getting it over hills. This is just a list of the various lift stations that we have. I've listed 3 here and kind of put a cost to the 3 different scenarios that we use. Lift station number 8, Job Corps. This is not directed nothing towards Job Corps. It's just, it's easier for our crews to know where this lift station is located at. This lift station is treated every 3 months. Treatment cost as far as degreaser goes is the treatment process used here. Crews will go out and spray this area down with degreaser, which will help break that grease down and get it pumped from point A to point B. It's kind of difficult to see in this manhole, but the white that's floating down in here is grease. Lift station 6 is Division. It is across from Mission Hills. A little bit more grease you can kind of see back in behind the pipe gallery there and the pump guides.
It's his fault.
This lift station is treated on a monthly basis. Cost for this is roughly $245.44. And you can see also your high flow levels kind of on that. Roughly to the top of the picture there, you can see where grease has been as high up on them walls of the lift station.
Hey, Tenny?
Yes, sir.
With our new wastewater treatment plant, will we be able to break this down better, or are we going to have the same problem if we continue doing this? I mean, will it collect there?
Yes, we would run into the same
Same problem.
issues out there
Okay.
because it's all the same treatment process. Lift station 4, this is probably our worst lift station. It's behind Willow Creek. It's a weekly treatment cost of $242.22, meaning crews go out there on a weekly basis, treat this lift station. You can see it's pretty well totally covered on the top of that water down there, grease, and how it's built up all on the top of the pipe gallery, and the sides are almost solid white. And then we get to the end of our system once it's reaching the wastewater treatment plant. The effects on the wastewater treatment plant, first place our grease comes into is our bar screen, which is the picture there on the left. The bar screen currently, both pump, or the pump motor and both gearboxes, you could say, the gears in them are stripped out due to grease, overload of grease. One attaches that red gearbox right there on the side is one of the gearboxes that's stripped out. There's another one. It's laying over on a long auger there. It's kind of difficult to see. But one goes on each side of that elevator. Both of those are currently stripped out. The gearboxes are from Sweden. Parts are obsolete. We're currently looking at trying to get some gears machined to try to get those things back in operation. Currently, crews are going out and physically cleaning that little front box right there out by hand and putting it over into that yellow bucket and dumping it over into the dumpster.
So what does that do to the whole program with that thing being down?
So what that does, this kind of puts you down more, a little bit deeper into it. This is the elevator, a close-up view of the elevator. Your sewage comes in, of course your grease is all floating. That elevator runs constantly, and it's kind of as a rake system. It's grabbing all of that floating grease and picks it up, takes it up and dumps it. If those gearboxes was in operation, one would bolt on top of that right there in the picture on the right. And again, I can go back. That long auger that's laying out there to the side of the railing, that red railing, it goes in that trough and it would turn
I see it.
and transport all that grease and debris down to that dumpster. Currently crews are, we're doing it all by hand and putting it in that yellow bucket and physically carrying it over there. But again, it's just aging infrastructure.
I've been out there, it's a mess.
Yeah.
Those guys work their tail.
So that kind of walks you through all of the effects that's on our existing infrastructure. I think I'll turn it back over to Dan. Dan kind of take it from here and kind of go over the rest of it, unless you guys have some questions.
I guess he's going to go over the solution.
They're all excited.
Pretty much, yeah.
There's only two.
Yes, because obviously now you know the why and what it's causing, not only in our system, kind of the liability for the city, the cost for the city. And, you know, as we indicated, we have an ordinance in effect that would allow us to ensure that these grease interceptors are installed. So what we're going to first do is develop a list of all businesses that require a grease interceptor per our existing code. We already kind of started working on that. And that, because we have some businesses, there's kind of two issues. There's one, do you have it at all? Number two, are you keeping proper maintenance and upkeep of that system? Because it's like anything. If you have a grease interceptor and you never have it emptied or you never care for it, it's like not having one. It doesn't serve any purpose. So there's always a twofold thing there. One, we got to make sure they have it, and then number two, go into the make sure that there's maintenance or they keep up on it in that. So we would contact any business that's not in compliance and essentially explain to them that, you know, they need it and they're going to have to install that. That'll be a process that, you know, obviously they're probably not going to be happy about it per se. We will work with them in that and, you know, have them essentially give us a plan, if you want to say, on what they're going to need time-wise and, you know, install it in that. So it isn't like we're going to go out and give them a 10-day, and after 10 days, if they don't have it installed, give them a citation or anything. But obviously, we're not going to be able to say, well, 3 years down the road, I'm going to put it in. That's not going to work either. So again, it's notifying them. Once again, once we not only make contact with the businesses that need it, any business that has one, it'll be the same thing. We're looking at developing a program where it would be self-reporting to a certain extent, where they will provide us a report on a monthly basis or however long, how often they're required to maintenance it and provide that report to us so we can say, okay, yes, you're in compliance and that. On occasion, we will probably have Tenny's department go and make inspections just to make sure that, you know, for some reason, we're just not getting reports just to get reports and there, you know, truly isn't anything being done in that. And
So why don't you give a quick rundown to me what businesses are
well,
going to
and that's what I was
require?
going to get at is the ordinance, and like most codes, are broken into two categories: cooking establishments, non-cooking establishments. The cooking establishments are pretty straightforward. That's pretty much your restaurants, anything that has fried or does any type of basic, you know, food in that. But the non-cooking is also could be a place that has food. Like a perfect example is the ice cream shop. They put in a grease interceptor. They don't cook there at all. They don't have any, but within dairy products, there's still the greases and fats that come with it. So as they're washing spoons out or whatever, that's going down obviously into our sanitary sewer. So they put in a grease interceptor. So there's going to be businesses like that. Dry cleaners, oil change places. A lot of those are, again, non-cooking establishments, but they still have the fats, oils, or greases that they potentially could be putting into the system. So it will be into two different categories. And again, we'll be contacting any of those that we know of that fall into those two different categories. in that. So there'll be a decent amount of businesses in town. And again, I'm not saying that not any of them have it, because we know many of them have it, especially like the most recent ones that were put in, you know, Burger King and.
Do they just do it on their own? Because I've never heard of it.
Yeah, but we've been checking, you know, we check too, when those uses come in through our building permitting process to make sure. A lot of the problem is the ones that basically haven't had to put it in from back in the day, so to speak, in that there's some. And again, the biggest thing is also the maintenance part of it. You know, again, installing it and then leaving it alone will not serve the long-term purpose. It's got to be monitored to where it's emptied on the proper intervals to make sure, you know, again, it's doing its job.
How much
And
is this unit?
It varies because it's dependent on size. I will probably say that a size that a restaurant has is going to lead to a few $1,000s. I don't know the exact price. It could probably be upwards of $5,000 to install. It could be a little more, but again, the system is going to be based on what your need is. Because again, like the ice cream shop, theirs was probably a few $100s because they don't have the amount that
Yeah,
would be
French fry
generated
grease
by
or
the
whatever.
typical restaurant. So yeah, it obviously varies. It's like everything. It could be a few $100s to thousands of dollars in that. So that's kind of our game plan. Obviously, the biggest thing is to let the council know what's going on, and, you know, so you would also understand why we're going down this path, because it is getting critical. Because as you see, it has a huge impact on our infrastructure as well as our treatment plant. It also takes a lot of time and money from the city standpoint to try to treat all of that, you know, on a daily, monthly, yearly basis. So if we can get more of these interceptors in place as well as maintained, it's going to have a huge reduction on what the city has to do in terms of, again, cost, treatment, and even our infrastructure. So.
Yeah, I mean, clearly the short-term and long-term effect of the grease that we're talking about in this particular example is significant for the
Yes,
city.
yes.
The maintenance, the constant cleaning,
Yes.
maintenance, but the long-term of potentially wearing out these elderly lines anyway. So what's your timeline for this, Dan?
Well, we'll be starting soon, literally here, because like I said, right now we're developing a list. And so again, the first thing will be going, and so it'll kind of take a, you know, I don't know the time frame sooner than later, but like now, like I said, we're going to establish a list and make sure that we can make sure the ones that need it, we have that list. The ones that already have it, we have on a list. And then after that, we're going to be sending out notification, you know, letters saying, again, you don't have one, you're required to have one, you know, contact us.
Have you done a preliminary on these have it, these don't?
Gosh, what was the preliminary that I did?
You had to do something.
Yeah, I done, it was like, I don't know, there's probably at least, what, about 30 to 40? Yeah, 30 to 40, and that was just a really rough.
That need it? or
Yeah,
that
well,
have it?
that would be required to have it by code. Yeah, not all
But
of them.
they may already have it?
Right, that's the thing. Not all of them would necessarily have to put one in because they may have it, but those were all the ones that have a use that falls under the need for a grease interceptor.
But nobody was grandfathered out of this.
That's correct. Because in the original ordinance, it specifically said you had a year to do it, and that was in
But that
2005.
year's been.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, yeah, it's 22 now.
So Tenny, one of the slides that you showed was the Mission Hills lift station. So in my mind, there's no obvious restaurant, food area around that Mission Hills area.
Well, there's the apartment complex, everything
Your
else.
residential grease is getting dumped down drains. and
Baking
making
grease.
itself
Okay.
to that- Making itself to that lift station right there.
Yeah, we eat a lot of bacon over there on the south.
Okay, so we're not only talking about restaurants and food places, we're talking about apartment complexes too?
No. This by the ordinance would fall under basically commercial industrial
Okay, so
establishments.
what we're talking
Residential would
about-
not be included.
That won't necessarily affect that particular scenario, that lift station, if you will, at Mission Hills.
No,
Probably not,
Right.
no.
Right.
But
Let's
it's
say a
Pretty
commercial
indicative,
kitchen.
pretty- Go ahead.
So let's say have a commercial kitchen,
Right.
like senior housing,
Yeah,
if they serve meals
right.
and have commercial kitchens, it could
Yes,
apply to that.
that is correct. Because it's even like, you know, the high school or some of those, you know, they
Sure.
have commercial kitchens. Just like Meridian Tech, they put one in because they're going to have cooking facilities and all of that. So, yeah, there's some that, as Leroy said, if they have a commercial kitchen, that's usually the key.
Okay.
How many years will one of these things run? I mean, in other words, how long will it function? 2, 3, 4, 5 years, 10 years?
No, they'll go longer than that, because again, it all goes back to maintenance. It's, yeah,
that's
it's
what I'm
like
saying.
everything. They'll pretty much
Find
last.
out to keep working.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's the thing. They'll pretty much last, probably as long as you'll have your business there and, quite a while. But again, it all goes back to the maintenance and upkeep like anything. It's like your car or anything,
I've not seen one, but I'm familiar with the environmental field. Is it like an oil water separator?
Pretty much.
Yeah, pretty much. That's a good
There's
example.
several different types, but yeah.
So what's it gonna cost us to fix those gears? We have the idea?
First off, finding a machinist to.
Do it.
To do it,
machine them,
yeah.
That's able to machine them and
Yeah, but custom gears are gonna be
get them
cheap.
things going, so.
Yeah, I can think, they're not cheap, you're right.
That's the biggest thing to me is how much it's gonna cost us in that regard.
Is the auger okay, or is it bent up or anything?
Auger's fine.
Fine, okay.
It's just the gears. And
Just the
both
gears
gearboxes
are just stripped, okay.
Well, we're done, Steve.
And some of that is, we just went through the winter months, grease is a lot heavier, cold weather, cold temps.
Slows it down, yeah.
That stuff gets
Freezes it
thicker,
up.
gets harder to turn, and, cranking that stuff through that auger, it gets tough.
Strip, yeah, okay.
All right.
Yeah, and just real quick, depending on how things go, there may be a need down the road to maybe tweak the ordinance, especially with some of the technical stuff in there and that. But like I said, right now, we have enough to where we can move forward to try to get the implementation and get everybody on board.
All right.
Okay, so
Anybody?
this says possible action. So what do you want from us?
No, honestly, it was more, again, of just alerting you to what
Okay.
will be
Leroy,
transpiring.
okay.
Yeah.
That's all I was asking.
The thing that we need from the city council, it's obvious that back in 2005, when the city was under consent order, DEQ required this. And it's a responsibility of these private businesses, but by not enforcing it and keeping the grease out, we pass that burden on to city staff to clean it out when it shouldn't be there to start with. Creates a liability situation for us. Whatever reason it wasn't enforced back in 2005 going forward. When we started enforcing this, it costs people money that they haven't been spending to buy it if they don't have it, to start maintaining it. If they haven't been maintaining it, you're gonna get some phone calls. So we just wanna make sure you're informed of why this is necessary and make sure that we have the green light from you, that when we start going out enforcing it, that you're comfortable with what our plan of action is.
Let's tear our stuff up.
Correct.
Yeah.
Cost us money.
Well,
And creating a
right.
liability.
When the heat's gonna come.
Yes.
The heat's gonna come.
Yeah.
But it's pretty obvious, we've gotta take care of this. We can't continue to kick
Correct.
this can down the
So
road.
we just need a green light from you all that you're comfortable that we start enforcing this.
Got to
You got-
fix it and keep it up, yeah, I agree.
Body language says you got the green light,
Thank you for your time.
okay?
Thank you.
Good job, guys.
Thank you, yeah. Thank you.
Great job. Then, ladies and gentlemen, we are adjourned from the workshop. And I call to order, well, I'm sorry, I'm not either. We're gonna, if you would stand and join me with the pledge and then remain standing for our prayer. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Remain standing for our prayer.
Our provider and sustainer, I pray that you guide us always, satisfy the needs that need to be met during this meeting, strengthen us as we make tough decisions. I pray that we will be like a well-watered garden, like a spring whose waters never fail. I pray that we will be fruitful. Father, guide us so that this meeting can be productive, because of lack of guidance causes a nation to fall. But victory is won through many advisors. Let us be effective and decisive. I pray you direct our steps for your desires. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, Pastor Frank. Now call to order our Public Works Authority meeting. And second item on the agenda is public comments, community announcements, recognitions. Do we have anything out there? Okay, I have got 2 proclamations to read.
reading proclamations.
These are proclamations, both in departments of our police force. Are you receiving these proclamations? Yes. Or you want to read them? Well, I have two proclamations. The first one, whereas in 1991, a congressional resolution named the second full week of April of every year as National Telecommunicator Week. And whereas emergencies can occur anytime, any place, and require assistance of police, fire, emergency medical services. And whereas 911 is the lifeline for people in emergency situations, and the 911 call taker voice is the first assurance that help is on the way. And whereas 911 professionals regularly meet the challenges of extremely stressful situations with calmness and efficiency. And whereas when an emergency occurs, the prompt response of police officers, firefighters, and medical personnel is critical to the protection of life and preservation of property. Whereas the safety of these emergency responders is dependent upon the quality and accuracy of information obtained by from the citizens who telephone the communications center. And whereas the public safety communication officer are everyday superheroes, providing assistance before any other emergency services arrive on the scene. And whereas public safety communication officers are a vital link for the emergency responders by monitoring their activities by radio and providing them with information and ensuring their safety. And whereas public safety communication officers contribute substantially to the apprehension of criminals, suppression of fires, and treatment of injuries and illnesses on a daily basis. And whereas each communication officer has exhibited courage, empathy, and professionalism during their performance of their daily duties. Be there resolved that I, Stephen J. Gentling, Mayor of the City of Guthrie, declare the week of April 10th through the 16th, 2022, to be National Telecommunication Week in honor of the men and women whose compassion, diligence, and professionalism keep our country's citizens and emergency responders safe. And one more proclamation, again, a department within the police force. Whereas the National Animal Control Association has designated the second full week of April of every year as Animal Control Officer Appreciation Week. And whereas various federal, state, and local government officials throughout this country take time to recognize, thank, and commend all the animal control officers and animal shelter staff for their dedicated service that they provide to the citizens of each community. Whereas animal control officers provide essential community functions, including enforcement of animal control laws, protecting the public from diseases such as rabies, and educating the public on the proper care of their pets. And whereas every day animal control officers put themselves in potential dangerous situations to protect the health and welfare of all kinds of animals and public. Whereas the citizens of Guthrie recognize and commend animal control personnel who answer the call for assistance, capture roaming and potentially dangerous animals, rescue animals, investigate reports of animal abuse, and educate pet owners about their responsibility for care, as well as mediate disputes between neighbors regarding pets. And whereas the City of the City Council wishes to commend each and every member of the Animal Control Division of this service, which is keeping with their long and distinguished tradition of animal control professionalism. Be therefore resolved by Stephen J. Gentling, Mayor of the City of Guthrie, declare the week of April 10th through the 16th as National Animal Control Officer Appreciation Week in honor of the men and women whose compassion, diligence, and professionalism keep our citizens safe and protected.
Yeah, it is.
One more.
Okay, item number 3 is a consent agenda, A, which is the approval of the minutes of March 15th, 2022, Public Works Authority meeting.
So moved.
Have a motion and a second. Any questions? Submit your votes, please.
All votes are in?
See the votes. Councilman Bothroyd,
Voted no to?
Are you-
Wow.
you got both of them going.
Well, they must be screwed up.
Okay, we'll take off the,
Take off the red one.
Take off the red one. Okay, unanimous approval then, with that correction, of all council present to approve the consent agenda item A. Item number 4, discussion and possible action to award bid 2022-01 to the OR Construction for sanitary sewer maintenance repair using CMOM projects for segments 1 through 4. Kenny?
Okay, we had 5 bids were received. OR Construction was the lowest and best bid. OR Construction, Davenport, Oklahoma, their bid came in at $209,735. Urban Contractors LLC out of Oklahoma City, their bid was $287,534. Jordan Contractors out at Tecumseh, $286,446. Kraft Reynolds Construction out of Oklahoma City, their bid was $360,231. And then Horseshoe Construction, LaPorte, Texas, $534,562. City staff, Myers Engineering, both have reviewed the bids and recommend awarding the bid to OR Construction. The sewer line replacement project is funded through our CMOM funds.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any other discussion or questions? Submit your votes.
All votes are in.
See the votes. Unanimous approval to award bid 2022-01 to OR Construction.
You gonna make it?
You all right?
You okay?
I was gonna say if not,
Take a drink.
take a drink.
Steve, you okay?
Want this water?
Are you all right?
Yeah.
And that's for the fire hydrant replacement project?
It's coming up.
That's for the sewer line.
You ready for the presentation?
Yes.
Can I read this, Steve?
Yes.
Okay. Discussion of possible action to award bid number 2022-02 to D. Owen Construction for the fire hydrant replacement project. Includes 18 different locations in the amount of $156,290,000 and allow the mayor to execute a contract.
It's yours, Tenny.
9 bids were received. D. Owens Construction was the lowest and best bid. Would you like me to go through and read all the bids that were received, or you guys have them?
We got 'em.
We're good.
Okay. Myers Engineering, city staff both have reviewed all the bids, recommend awarding to D. Owens Construction for the fire hydrant replacement project. This is funded through our first round of ARPA funds. Total project, including engineering, is $171,290.
So move.
Second?
Motion and a second. Any other discussion or questions of Denny? Submit your votes.
All votes are in.
See the votes. Unanimous approval. All those present then to approve the bid 2022-02 to Owens Construction for fire hydrant replacement. Item number 6, discussion and possible action to approve change order number 2 for Young Construction for the wastewater treatment plant project concerning Section B lift station. Any?
Change order number 2 will increase the original contract with Young Contracting by $179,142.97. This is due to the circumstances with the subgrade that were unforeseen, unknown prior to the bid receipt. They ran into a lot of groundwater whenever they were digging this lift station. This change order will also add 135 days to the contract due to the same unforeseen conditions of the subgrade. With this, I would like to say, with this increase, we are still under our original budget, overall budget by $53,335 for our wastewater treatment plant currently.
Over it.
Under.
It.
Is this due to the Cimarron River, probably flow of the water from the river?
Cottonwood and the Cimarron
Cimarron
both
River.
right there,
Right there together.
fairly close to where that lift station is. They dug roughly 30-some feet deep
And water
for that
coming
lift
in.
station
Yeah.
and groundwater. They've done numerous different things trying to handle the groundwater as far as putting in wells and various things.
So are they gonna try to go deeper under the ground, is that what their plan is, or are they gonna go over the top, or how, you know?
It's all been done and the lift station, concrete's been poured and it's
Okay.
up there above ground now with the lift
Okay.
station.
So I make a second.
We have a motion and a second. Any other discussion?
You can imagine.
Okay, submit your order, submit your
And the Cimarron
votes.
River, you can say it's 3.
All votes are in.
The width of the river.
See the votes.
Just add 3 times that.
Unanimous approval from all those councilmen present to approve change order number 2 with Young Contracting for the wastewater treatment. Item number 7, discussion possible action to approve change order number 3, also with Young Contracting, and also at the wastewater treatment plant. Jenny?
This change order is for Section C. It's the off-site piping. Change order 3 will add 104 days to the contract due to inclement weather that we've ran into, untimely deliveries, and relocation of an OG&E power pole that was in conflicting area with where the line ran. It took about a week there just to get that pole relocated.
Okay.
So,
Any questions of Tenny?
So moved.
wait a minute, what is that doing?
Just lengthening, giving them more.
It gives them 104 additional days on
Okay,
their
that's
original
right.
contract.
Second.
And the other one's gonna be 135 additional days, is that right?
Yes, sir. Which both of these fall well before the plant will ever be complete and up on the
Okay, we have a
line anyway.
motion and a second. Any other discussion or questions of Tenny? Submit your votes.
All votes are in.
See the votes. Unanimous approval from all those present then to approve change order number 3 with Young Contracting concerning the wastewater treatment plant.
Thanks, Teddy. Appreciate you.
Yep, thank you. Item number 8, discussion possible action regarding resolution number 2022-17, limited term employment, employee personnel policy. Who's handling that? Leroy?
Try to make it brief, but currently the fire department has multiple employees scheduled for extended workers' comp leave of absence, and up to 2 employees that will be out on military service leave in 2023, maybe up to 14 months. So that's leaving us shorthanded when we already have, as we know, a need for more manpower to look at. The other day, we interviewed for a vacancy, and we had 3 qualified applicants. And so we filled that vacancy. We had an opportunity to retain the other 2 on a temporary basis. They were willing to do that with the chance that in the future, either through attrition or future increases in manpower, that they would get permanent jobs. But in order to pay them full-time benefits, sick leave, holiday pay, vacation, be on the retirement plan, and that type of thing, we have to amend our personnel policy because none of those are available to temporary employees. So we're creating a new class of temporary employees so that when we have people out on extended leave, whether it's for workers' comp, military service, and we have to backfill those positions with people of similar training and competence, we can pay them benefits to attract those people. Right now, it's fire department, it could be police department next time, or it could be the water treatment plant where you only have a handful of employees. This will give us, for that classification of employees, the ability to bring them on for temporary employment up to 18 months and pay them full benefits, just like a full-time employee. We will still have the other classification of temporary for people we hire for summer help, for mowing and those kind of things that will not get the full-time employee benefits.
I make a motion to approve.
Second.
A motion and a second. Any other discussion or questions of Leroy? Submit your votes then.
All votes are in.
See the votes. Unanimous approval from those council present to approve that change, Resolution 2022-17, affecting limited term employee personnel policy. That being the last item on our Public Works Authority meeting, it is adjourned. And I call to order our City Council meeting. And second item on our agenda is a consent agenda, items A, B, C, D, and E. A is the approval of the minutes of the March 15th City Council meeting. B is the approval of a contract with the YMCA, Greater Oklahoma City and Guthrie for the operation of the municipal swimming pool for the 2021 season. C is consider approval for the CPI amendment for property lease agreement hangar number 5. D is consider approval for the CPI agreement, property lease agreement for hangar number 15. E is confirmation of Guthrie Public Works Authority action regarding resolution 2022-17, the limited term employee personnel policy, which we Leroy just presented to us.
I'd like to ask for one point of clarification so that everybody else knows, because I don't know either. CPI amendment.
So,
What's a CPI amendment?
consumer price index, it's a,
On our airport leases, we adjust those based on the consumer price index inflation rate.
Okay.
so it's all a calculation that we've been doing for a long time for hangars.
So moved.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Any other questions or discussion? Submit your votes then.
All votes are in.
Let's see the votes. Unanimous approval from the council present to approve consent agenda items A through A, B, C, D, and E. Item number 3, discussion and possible action regarding ordinance number 3368, request to rezone property located at 1501 West Noble from R1 to C1. Application number 2022-003. Dan?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. As you indicated, this is a rezone from R1 to C1. The property is located on Noble Avenue. It's right at the corner of 14th Street and Noble Avenue. It's a 17,500 square foot lot. It's a property that a year ago had a dilapidated structure on it. The current owner has since tore down that dilapidated structure, and they're looking to obviously rezone it to R1. I'm not going to go into a lot of detail. You have my staff report. The what? To C1. Yeah, in our C1, just so you know, is our neighborhood shopping district. It's basically a limited commercial district, so it's primarily for office retail. It would not allow uses that start to get to automotive and those type of things. That moves into a C2, so it is a limited commercial. Again, you have my staff report on a lot of the information pertaining to that and to rezones. The owner is here, as well as I believe a couple of the public have signed up, so they'll have an opportunity to speak. You were provided 4 letters of objection that were submitted in writing that went to the Planning Commission, as well as you and your staff report. The Planning Commission did recommend 3-0 to deny the request, mainly because they agreed with the residents that it wasn't fitting for that location, and especially at this time, given the residential development of the area. So with that, I'll leave with any questions you have with me. If not, like I said, I know there's a
Yes,
speaker.
I have one
Okay,
question.
sure.
Just for the benefit of everybody
Yep.
hearing. Under R1,
Yes.
it falls, you and I have discussed this,
Mm-hmm.
it's under the, what do you call it?
Oh, the Guthrie Proper Overlay District.
Overlay
Yes.
district. Yes, would you explain what that does for us?
Yes, the overlay district is a district we implemented to make sure that any residential development is compatible with what has been traditional in the original platted area or Guthrie. So it has to have some compatibility with Craftsman, Bungalow, Victorian, Colonial style development. It also makes sure there's consistency with setbacks that are different than the current code in aspects like that. But again, it's a compatibility and a design architectural, again, so we don't, and not that it's a bad thing, get modern subdivision homes in our original platted area.
I like it.
Any other
Any other
questions?
questions of Dan? No? Mr. Clark requested to speak on this one, I believe, sir?
Good evening.
Good evening.
I'm Tim Clark. I live at 1517 West Noble, which is directly adjoins this property. I'm in the middle on that block. And I'm here on behalf of my wife and the West Side community, and we strongly oppose any increase in zoning. We would like to keep the neighborhood Victorian as best as we could. Our concerns are based, you know, upon the noise and light pollution. You're talking about putting commercial lights 40 feet from my bedroom window, you know, and the traffic will increase. I did hand traffic count. I was in the commercial real estate business for 25 years. I just retired, all right? I had a hand in the Super Walmart here in Guthrie, so I know Guthrie well. My wife and I retired here. The traffic counts at 14th and Noble, there's approximately between that intersection and the intersection at Jeets and the car wash, which is 10th and Noble, runs about 2,000 to 2,500, depending on the time of day. That's the increase down at Jeets. And so that increase is going to be put there if we put a commercial property there. I just think it's unfitting. The site is barely a quarter of an acre. So after setbacks and all of those things, you're not going to get much building space there for a commercial building. If you go run through your uses in the ordinances, your uses, most of those uses are just discounted because the site isn't big enough. So we strongly oppose it for those reasons. Sorry. Hey, I think I hit them all. And we just ask that you deny any increase in zoning to C1 or any other increase that is anything but R1.
When you say "we," are you talking about you and the other
Me
three
and my
people
wife.
that wrote the letter, or
Me and
just
my
you and your
wife.
wife? Okay,
Me and my wife.
okay. I'm
You have
trying
a
to find
letter.
out who you were speaking for.
Yeah, me.
You have a letter on record, too.
I do. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay.
Mayor, this was also, if I'm not mistaken, it was a daycare at one time. And I'll keep my nose out of it, but I'm just going to vote no right now. I don't even think we need to discuss this any further, as far as I'm concerned.
I've lived in that neighborhood my whole life, past that, and I agree completely with the neighborhood.
Yep.
The people of Ward 3, that big house, I wish somebody had fixed it up. I've seen houses worse than that come back to life. One of them's right across the street. It's a gym from my house today because somebody decided to, with some vision, to do it. So I will not vote for that myself. I don't know how the rest of you feel, but we could cut to
Is
the
that a
chase as
motion?
far.
Yeah, that's,
We cut that, no,
gonna
I
make
will
a-
not go for
you
that.
gonna make a motion on that?
Yeah, I'll motion.
And I'll second it then. I mean, we need further discussion.
Okay, we have a
the
motion
motion is to deny?
Yes, to deny.
and a second. Any other discussion?
Is anybody else signed up?
I'm the owner, so I'm gonna speak on behalf of myself and my company.
I didn't have anything signed for you to
Yeah, I
speak.
did.
Well, I didn't know that. Nobody told me that I had to sign,
All right.
so.
You're,
I mean, if
are
you
you
don't-
the owner?
Yeah,
We should let them
I think we let him talk.
it's okay.
Go ahead, identify yourself, sir.
My name is Irfan Rahman. I'm the owner of the Guthrie Rental Property LLC. I purchased, yeah, my ad of the property, 1501 West Noble, Guthrie, Oklahoma.
That's not where he lives.
I purchased this property because it was torn down. I looked at this property for a few years every day and nobody wanted to do nothing for it. When I heard it was for sale, I just let it be for sale. I thought somebody will have a usage of it as a house or whatever. I did not know that this actually used to be and considered with Logan County as a commercial property. I have a letter that this letter was sent to me a few days ago by Logan County Tax Commissioner that it used to be, and they paid for over 20 years, commercial property, and they consider this as a commercial property. So my understanding, I didn't buy this property to fix it, to live on it, but I purchased exactly for what I thought it's a usage of being a commercial C1 type of, maybe a retail store, like a small boutique or something in that nature, or maybe even some pharmacy, you know? So that's my consider. I think the community there really needs this as a property. There is businesses within 3-4 blocks that they used to be always homes, residential, and they turn it into business. I don't see why they oppose this, especially the council. Like, this used to be a property, commercial property for over 30 years. The people of this town went to this as a daycare for over 30 years, majority of these people. I mean, it's okay, I don't have it, this doesn't have to be the end of the business decision that you guys make, you know, it's fine. I don't mind even to do as a, whatever they want me to, but this used to be a commercial property. The city, when they had people try to buy this property, the reason the people came out of the contract, it was because it was in terrible condition. The property, the city actually recommended total demolition in it.
I'm fully aware of that. Why are you looking at me?
No, I'm just saying.
I'm fully aware of that.
Because I heard you said that you've seen properties
And let me,
in reverse
since we're
condition.
talking here, as far as commercial property, a daycare or not, the house looked like all the rest of the houses. That's the point. We don't want to, I've lived there all my life in that neighborhood. I don't want to see a brick building.
We can't discuss.
Sorry. Well, he's looking at me like he wanted a response.
No, I look at you
We're not
because
supposed to have conversation while they're talking.
you said that you seen property in worse condition. So you were aware that actually this property was in the worst condition, recommended by City of Guthrie to be total demolition. So that's why I bought it. I mean, as I said, you don't have to make it just because I want to be a commercial property. I don't want to be against the neighborhood. I think the neighbors, there is people who run businesses out of their houses. You have right behind my house, 2 blocks in Cleveland, you have the guy runs the wrecking service out of it, you know. You have 2 blocks or 3 blocks on west side on Warren Avenue, people do a car wash deal there, you know. So I don't see why this would have to be denied and opposed to this, so
Okay.
that's all.
All right, thank you for your input. Okay, we have a motion and a second to deny.
I want to ask Dan a question. Has this been commercial all this time?
No, I think the confusion is that in the county, they have assessments. They don't have zoning. You know, obviously, the City of Guthrie zoning ordinance does the zoning.
Right.
The county works on assessments, so
They did it as
even in a building code, if you have 3 or more units, it's considered commercial, and you have to build out of the commercial code of the building code. The assessments work the same, where a daycare by its nature for assessment purposes is considered commercial.
But the city
But,
had it as
right, but from a land use standpoint and a zoning standpoint, it's a residential use in that even a daycare is still a residential use.
And it's always been that way.
Yeah, and every area works that way. The county everywhere in the United States goes off an assessment for tax purposes. They don't deal with zoning unless they have it in their own jurisdiction.
Okay. Any other questions of Dan? Okay, we have a motion and a second to deny.
I'm not sure how to vote.
We have a motion and a second to deny the rezoning.
You vote, you
Yes
vote.
to, yes to deny, no to
Right.
let
Or
it pass. Okay. That's
A
why I'm
yes will
saying.
deny it, a no would overturn the denial.
Thank you.
As what the motion is now,
Right.
okay? Everybody understand that? Okay. Submit your votes.
All votes are in.
See the votes. Unanimous approval to deny the request to rezone the property. Item number 4, discussion of possible action to request approval of the final subdivision plot for 54 residential lots in the Meadow Ridge addition. Dan?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. This is, as you said, a final plat. This is a subdivision that's located off or over down by Coltrane in Seward. It's in the very southwest corner. If you keep going down Seward, you basically get to Liberty Lake, so it's a little south of Liberty Lake, that area. The Planning Commission in June of last year approved the preliminary plat. The total build-out is 102 lots. Tonight is Phase 1 of the final plat, which is for 54 lots on 38 acres of the 74-acre parcel. The property's been zoned R1 since it's been annexed, I don't know how many years ago. So it was obviously reviewed under the R1 regulations. The plat will have access off of Coltrane, which is already a paved road. It's actually a county road, but it is a paved road. Phase 2 will be another access, or the preliminary plat had another access. I believe it was off of Seward as well. As part of Phase 2, Seward will be paved as one of the requirements of approval, because it's currently a dirt road or not.
Yeah,
under
a
our-
really nasty one.
Yeah. So that portion along the property be paved, but that's anyway in Phase 2. Just to make sure everybody understands, the roads are private, so they're going to be private roads, so it will have to be maintained by the HOA that will be formed as part of the subdivision. The water is with the Logan County Rural Water District, so the water infrastructure in that is through Logan County, and of course, there's no sewer down there, so that's why all the lots are at the half acre, because that's the minimum necessary to get a septic system through the state of Oklahoma. So with that, let me make sure I'm covering all the things
Who's
here.
paying for the road?
Well,
The-
that's HOA.
The
HOA pays, no, you say that they
Well, the
maintain it, but
developer
who
will
put
put,
it in?
yeah, the developer will put the streets in, but the maintenance will be by the HOA.
I'm talking about Seward Road.
That will be part of Phase 2, and the developer will be required to pave that as part of Phase 2.
Okay.
Yes.
That's what
Yeah,
I said.
but this is Phase 1, like I said, coming off of Coltrane, so that's already a paved road, plus it's a county road, so we don't have jurisdiction on that anyway. It's not in part of any floodplain or that, so there was no issues with that. The paving, grading, and drainage plan were all reviewed by our engineer, Myers Engineering, and the City Public Works Department, and we've obviously gotten to a point where everybody is happy with all the improvement plans that are going to be put in. Fire Department also, and making sure that the fire hydrants are going to be in. It will be under basically a rural fire protection capacity, because right now the infrastructure isn't there to support a true fire, fire hydrant, so it'll function similar to the rural subdivisions. But the fire hydrants are going in, so down the road, years down the road, hopefully the infrastructure catches up and you can actually use the fire hydrants in that. So with all that, the Planning Commission had recommend 3-0 approval of Phase 1 of the final plat with conditions, and basically the conditions were that they have to put in a bond. The cost estimate is $1,361,770.75, in which the developer will be required to put a surety bond in that amount prior to the plat being recorded. After tonight, if it's approved, the engineer will have the plat with all the appropriate signatures, with the city's signatures being the last part of that. And to ensure that there's no, misunderstanding and everybody is good, one of the things, and I'll read it, is recommendation for motion would be to move to approve the final plat for Meadow Ridge Addition Phase 1, subject to the mayor not signing the final plat endorsement until all required certifications and acknowledgments have been executed and a bond is provided that is satisfactory to the governing body pursuant to 11 OS 45-104, which is state statutes, to secure the municipality for actual construction and installation of improvements and utilities at a time designated and according to specifications.
So moved.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any other, Leroy?
I have one question to make sure. On the road, even though it's a private road, it is being paved to city standards? It's not a gravel road?
No.
It's a paved road?
They're paved roads. They'll actually be concrete.
Okay,
Yeah.
I just wanted to make sure.
Yeah.
Okay, okay.
I've been out there. It's really going to be nice.
Yeah, it'll be a good subdivision for us.
We have a motion and a second. Any other discussion or questions? All right, submit your votes.
How about Strand?
See the votes. Unanimous approval from all council present, then to approve that final subdivision plating with the bonding information and
Motion. Yes.
Hang on one
that
second.
you identified.
Yes.
Before you go to the next item, I had a clarification back on the consent agenda, if I may, when you're.
Okay, all right.
Are we ready for that? Did we vote on that?
We did.
Okay.
We passed it.
A good observer pointed out to me on the consent agenda on the agreement on the swimming pool, the agenda said the 2021 season where it should have said 2022. Just want to make sure for our
So
minutes
corrected.
that we correct
Yeah,
that,
I
that
see
it
it
was
now.
2022. It's a typo.
See, I made that motion, so I'll accept that.
Yeah, I think I second it.
We had a motion that was made and the person seconded. Agree with that amendment to change from 2021 to 2022.
Thank you.
In the consent agenda, item number B.
Thank you.
Okay. Item number 5, we've got nominations for the Historic Preservation Commission. And Dan, you wanna?
Yes.
We've had a little bit of
And
a journey.
I was going to say, and I'll apologize now, this is probably partially my fault and maybe all my fault, but there's a little confusion, so bear with me. The first thing is that when we did the staff report, Aaron Rooney was to be under knowledge and Jason Wells was to be under owner, because Aaron Rooney was not an owner and Jason Wells was in that. So that led to the next part where, after reading the ordinance and our HPC, it was determined that even though they're owners, they would have to be within the city limits, that only pertained to the knowledge area and not the other areas of the HPC. So that would negate Jonathan Stranger as well as Jason Wells from an ownership position because of the fact that they don't reside within the city limits. There was another owner that had applied who is up for reelection or for possible reappointment. So essentially tonight we would be looking at, and the mayor will explain a little bit more on the one, but looking essentially to appointing the 2 knowledge positions with the applicants that were here, which essentially would end up being Aaron Rooney and
Nathan Turner.
yeah, Nathan Turner per the mayor, and the mayor will go on about Adam Ropp because he may change his nomination to that based on this information. But just so we clarify, we have currently 1 position that is open, that's vacant, which is knowledge. And then we had 3 positions that were coming up with expired terms. One was Adam Ropp, which was an owner, who is eligible for reappointment. He did put in an application. And then we had the other positions, which were owner. Lynn Bilodeau, who is termed out, and the other one, knowledge, which is Patrick Kerr, he termed out. So obviously, they were not up for reappointment. So having said all that, I hope I didn't confuse it any more than I probably already did, but I'll leave it to the mayor.
Slaughtered it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think there's 2 guys left on here we're voting for,
Yeah.
right?
But you fixed it.
Yeah.
The challenge was that initially, Dan and my discussion, we interpreted that if the individual, in fact, the applicant was an owner, that qualified the individual. And then we asked for legal opinion, and the legal opinion that corrected us was that ownership in the land didn't negate also having to be a citizen of the city of Guthrie.
Okay.
And our HPC is kind of unique in that different positions are qualified based upon either education or knowledge, I should say not education, but knowledge, and then ownership, and then representation of like Logan County Historical Preservation Commission.
I'm going to make a motion to approve the nominees.
Well,
Unless you're gonna add Adam.
let me just clarify what the nominees are, because it's different than what's on the agenda.
Right.
Because I had made the nomination of Jonathan Stranger as under the owner, and Jonathan does not live in the city limits, so he did not qualify. Aaron
and Turner.
I am nominating Adam Ropp to continue into his 2nd term in the ownership area. I am nominating Nathan Turner in the education position.
Knowledge. Yeah.
I'm sorry,
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
That's all right.
I like Don's idea. We're talking down here to rewrite this whole thing
Knowledge.
and bring it back.
Well,
I mean, it's because the way I look at it, you can nominate, what I was approving was Turner and Rooney.
And we
Now
can
you
do
got
that.
Jason Wells in there. I don't think he qualifies.
he does not.
No, he
So
does
see,
not.
this just needs to be rewritten, and if Adam needs to be in there, put him in.
Or we could go ahead and approve this and add Adam next time we talk about this.
Or just rewrite the whole thing, let's approve it next
It's not on
time.
the agenda to begin with.
That's why I say Adam's not.
Yeah.
That's what I
So that's
said.
just-
So he technically is, it just wasn't a nomination by the mayor, but if the mayor
So we're only
decides-
talking 2 weeks, just rewrite it and come
Right
back.
here. It's not on it.
Oh, we can do, I see what you're saying.
You
Just
have,
rewrite it and come back.
Do you have
Okay.
anything that's
Clarify.
immediate before the Historic Preservation Commission?
No.
Yeah, we.
Because-
I could rewrite the whole item and make
Yeah,
it
that'd
clear
be
next
best.
time.
Okay.
Great idea.
That's what I was gonna say.
Table it.
So just table it.
Circusaic.
We
Make a
will,
motion to table 5.
we will table item number 5 then to the next city council meeting.
Good idea.
Point of
Discussion.
clarification.
Yes.
We're saying rewrite the cover letter, not the ordinance.
Right.
Yes.
Yep.
Yes, the cover letter. Right. Okay. Item number 6 is to confirm my nomination of Dalton Fasick to the Planning Commission. He would fill an unexpired term. I have interviewed all of these candidates, by the way, but interviewed Dalton, and I find him to be would be a very significant asset for the Planning Commission. Positive vibes from the interview. I think he would be a good asset.
So moved.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any other discussion? Submit your votes.
I'll vote Strand.
Let's see the votes. Unanimous approval from those present then to approve Dalton Vasek
Uh-oh, here he comes.
as to our planning commission.
Oh, no.
Here he comes.
Oh, no. Don't let Dan do
Put
that.
a timer on it.
Item number 7, city manager report.
You have 5 minutes. State your name and address.
It'll take 5 hours, but anyway.
It's actually a announcement.
Well, hopefully it's a good one.
It is for me.
That's what I was afraid of.
You're not going to Alva, are you? I've been there. You wouldn't want to go.
I
that
go,
far.
so you
It
don't
gets
want to go
really
down,
cold
it
up
is,
there.
and it's out in the boondocks.
Thank you, sir.
You're gonna retire. I figured you would.
It's a retirement letter, it's not
I'm not
accepted.
gonna read it
Yeah.
twice. Yeah, it is.
Is it?
Yeah.
Yep.
Oh, man.
This letter is to serve as my official notice of my retirement from the city of Guthrie effective April 28, 2023. That's not this
That's a
April.
year.
I've worked for municipal government since 1979, with roughly 30 of those years in a municipal management position. The last 5 as city manager Guthrie. One thing that you learn over that length of time is to acknowledge when it's time for change. After much thought and consideration, I have concluded that it's time to explore the next chapter in my life. With the amount of advance notice that I'm providing, I'm hopeful that it gives you ample time to develop an orderly transition plan for the future. The past 5 years that I have lived and worked in Guthrie have been incredible. Some of the highlights, and this is just a few of the highlights for me over the last few years, have been to serve a community-minded and spirited governing body, to enhance the city's financial and administrative stability for the future, to work with and mentor some of the finest public employees that I've ever experienced, funding and implementation of a wide variety of placemaking projects that will attract young families and young professionals to our community for many years to come, the development of lifelong friends throughout the community. I'm not sure at this point what the next chapter in life has in store for me, but I'm excited about exploring those opportunities over the next 12 months. Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, you deserve to go get whatever you want to get, Leroy, you really do. I can tell you that.
Give me some of it too.
And can I borrow the RV? You can store it up at my place.
From what I can see.
I got a place for it.
Yeah. Get the hell out of here.
He's always posted where he's eating on.
Yeah.
Well, my question is, what if we disapprove this?
He did ask for approval. I don't think there was we don't get that opportunity on this one.
I'm not gonna do it.
Possible action, it doesn't say that.
Yeah.
Okay, so what's our next one?
Comments.
Comments?
Okay.
All right. Item number 8, comments from members of the city council. Councilman Guthrie.
Well, I want to start, we always, obviously, Tenny, we thank you for everything you do, but Dan, you've been underrated here lately, and you do a good job, dude. I just want to let you know that. And Leroy, I don't know how we ever replace you, but I seriously don't. I'm sad, but, because this community has really grown, and I don't think a lot of people realize just how much under your command here. So, but the good news is, if there is any to that, is that I look for you to help us tremendously to find the right individual so that we can have longevity like we found in you on this. And you've done a great job.
And
Can't
I
be
would
replaced.
point out, as I explore the next chapter, the intent is to explore opportunities that would not require me to relocate.
Yeah, and maybe we have some here, if that's, if you wanted to continue employment or something, I don't know. But you're gonna be a tough one to replace, Guy, I tell you. So, that's what all I got.
Councilman Williams?
Yeah, thanks again to Dan and Tenny. That was a great plan you laid out there. And I apologize to the council and the citizens for getting a little bit fared there. It's close to my, it's close to my
It's
heart.
close to home, I get it.
Councilman Taylor?
89ers is coming up, guys, in about 3 weeks. And if you're still wanting to get in the parade, you need to get up here and say something to one of us, either the mayor or myself, or contact Dennis Oaks. But that's not that far off, guys. So if you want to be in the parade, or if you just want to watch the parade, April 23rd, starting at noon. And thank you, staff, all of you.
Councilman Channel?
Trash off this weekend.
It is trash off.
It's time to prune those bushes and limbs and pick up all the junk in your yard and take it to the dump.
Paint too, right?
Sir?
Paint, you can dispose of old paint.
Yeah, they'll take about anything. There's certain conditions, but it's, I think, what is it, EMI and ACE
Yeah,
and the
that's
city
right. Yeah.
is all sponsoring it. So let's everybody get out and get
You just
cleaned
have
up.
to, you have to present a water bill, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
So if you live in the city, that's a great opportunity to get rid of some junk.
you can't borrow anybody's water bill.
Oh, okay, well, dang it.
But that's it. I just reminding everybody that
That's
that
good.
is there. I had somebody here a while back that hit me up, said, I got this guy that's cleaning up his stuff from the ice storm. Can you let him dump? And I said, that's a little old, but if you're out there, here's your
Yeah.
chance. Go do your dump this weekend.
There you go.
Okay, Vice Mayor Case?
It's a great opportunity.
I want to thank all the people that came tonight, and thank you for standing up and being part of your community and part of this government and helping us do the right thing for you.
Amen.
And that includes Mr. Rama that was here earlier. I mean, he's trying to do what he thinks is best too. There's nobody wrong here. But I did want to thank you all for coming.
One quick thing, Mayor. I'm waiting on a response. We had a vote tonight, so I'm waiting to see if we got something on that. So if we get something, I'll let you know.
Okay, well, I was going to say, thanks to all the citizens that voted, whatever way you voted. Thanks for taking your responsibility, the greatest value, if we will, in our republic, the right to vote.
That's right.
Taking that serious and going ahead and getting out there and voting. So I want to thank all the citizens that voted today. Again, regardless which way you voted, appreciate you taking that responsibility seriously and doing it. 89ers is coming up. We've also got, there's a veterans salute to veterans and their families, hosted by the Kappa Theta Chapter 5414, the 19th at 10 o'clock at the American Legion. So if you have a veteran in the family, make sure that she or he knows about this and go over to the American Legion and celebrate those men and women who are our heroes.
Steve, aren't you a veteran?
I am.
You are.
I am.
Anybody else?
I am. There we go. And Dan.
Dan's a veteran.
And Dan.
Anybody
There
else?
we go.
There's a veteran back there.
There you go.
There's another veteran back there. There's a bunch of them.
Yeah, thank you for your service.
Thank you very much.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you. But 89ers coming up, big parade. We got the Longhorns will be here, the Shriners will be here, and the Langston Band will be here. We've got lots of things. Get your button. Buy your button. But it's the parade is the 23rd.
Yes.
At noon. But actually, the 89ers is all week. The carnival be set right down the road over here. So bring the kiddies out, get on the rides, big kids as well as little kids. But one of our big events here in Guthrie, come out and be a part of it. It'll be a great time as always.
Isn't it the biggest event in Guthrie?
I think it is.
It probably is if it's not.
It's
the longest lasting.
It's one of the biggest. We call it the biggest parade in Oklahoma. So.
I'll put you on the
Of course, we declare that.
Now, whatever
We
you
declare
need,
that.
just let me know.
Okay, any other last thoughts here? Leroy,
I figured it'd be Friday.
Did not
into
want to see
Saturday.
that.
That's where I'm thinking it would
did not want to see this. But I'm sure I join with the rest of the council in saying thank you very much for all that you've done to facilitate, to direct us, to help us, but more importantly, help this community. One of the things I think many of, certainly all of us at this table know, here's a gentleman that works tirelessly behind the scenes to make things happen. Not always the one that gets his name put on as this is the person that did it, but in fact, he's one of the working cogs that really makes it happen.
I think Teddy made you feel bad when you got here, so he started working harder.
I don't know how Tenny could work any harder.
But
anyway.
He's still got a year to do it too.
Yeah.
No coasting.
Thank you so much, Leroy, for what you have given to us individually and for this community in total. And we all look forward to you helping us, continue to help us. We will continue to have your number on our speed dial, regardless of where you are. You can't get away from us.
He can block the call.
Anyway, thank you very much. Anybody else? We are adjourned, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you.